Hey y'all, and welcome back. Welcome if you're new. My name is Tiffany, and this is this week's What's for Dinner video. If you enjoy these kind of videos, make sure you subscribe. We do these pretty much every single week around here, and we'd love to have you as part of our family. Don't go anywhere, and we'll get right to the cooking. The first recipe that I'm going to share with you this week is a taco casserole, taco lasagna, whatever you want to call it. And for this recipe, you just need some taco seasoning. I also use some salt and pepper. You could just get a can of refried beans, but I'm going to make my own with these pinto beans. About a cup of salsa, a pound of ground beef, half of an onion, and some flour tortillas. To get started, I'm just going to put my meat in a pan. I'm going to go ahead and put those onions in there with the meat as well. Let them start softening up and brown our meat. Now, if you have a lot of grease in your meat, this is when you're going to want to drain it out. I'll get my words out in a minute. And then we're going to put in our salsa. Also put in about a quarter cup of water, about a quarter cup of the taco seasoning, and some salt and pepper. Just let that simmer while you get everything else together and ready. This is those pinto beans. I just heated them up with a little bit of salt and pepper and then mashed them. You could use a can of refried beans if you wanted. Now I'm spraying a casserole dish with some nonstick spray, and we're going to start layering everything. I just tore the flour tortillas and pieced them together in there the best I could. It doesn't have to be neat. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to taste good, I promise. Now I'm going to spread on some of the beans the best I can. Again, not going for perfection. It's going to taste good, I promise. After we get the beans on, we're going to put on some of the meat mixture and some shredded cheese. I don't think I showed the cheese at the beginning. I didn't. You definitely want some cheese in this. And after you get the cheese on, you're just going to layer everything again. We did 2 complete layers with an extra layer of tortillas and cheese on the top. I had a little helper come in too, and he helped me out and did a great job on this one. I covered this with a little bit of aluminum foil and put it in the oven at 350 for about 25 minutes covered, and then uncovered for the last 5 minutes. Probably could have let it go uncovered a little bit longer, but we were hungry. We devoured this entire casserole pan. Everyone loved this. Had it with a little bit of fresh tomato and jalapeno, some guacamole, and sour cream. Up next is a Mississippi pot roast. This is a favorite around here, and it's our absolute favorite way to make roast. I've got a chuck roast, a brown gravy mix, a ranch mix, a stick of butter, and some pepperoncini peppers. You don't have to sear your meat, but if you've got a couple of extra minutes, grab you a skillet and some oil and sear your meat on both sides. It just takes a couple of minutes. Again, if you're pushed for time though, just put it straight in the crock pot. I'm gonna go ahead and get that meat into the crock pot. I'm gonna put a little bit of salt and pepper on the top, and then we'll do the whole pack of brown gravy mix, the whole pack of the ranch mix, put that stick of butter right on top. I put just a little bit of juice from the peppers, and then however many peppers you want. We usually do about 10. Put the lid on your crock pot and cook it on low for about 8 hours. This meat literally just falls apart. It is so good. We had it with some shells and cheese and some potatoes and green beans. Next, I'm going to show you the 2-ingredient biscuits. I've shared my homemade biscuits before. These are a little bit different. They're definitely a light, fluffy biscuit. All you need though is some self-rising flour and heavy whipping cream. Literally 2 ingredients. I'll link my homemade biscuit recipe below if you want to try it out or take a look at it. It's a biscuit with a little bit more of a crispy outside and fluffy inside. These biscuits are just soft and fluffy, so if that's what you like, definitely give these a try, and hey, they're easy. So to start out with, I'm just taking 2 cups of self-rising flour, or about 2 cups. I don't get too specific because you can always add in a little more flour or a little more cream, whatever you need. I didn't sift that, so I just fluffed it up with a fork, and now I'm going to put in 1.5 cups of the heavy whipping cream to start with. Then I'll take a look at it and decide if I need more cream, more flour. You'll see once I stir this up that I needed to add just a little bit more cream. Just looking for consistency where all of your flour is incorporated into the dough. Now I'm just putting out a little bit of flour, and I'm going to turn my dough out on that flour, sprinkle just a little bit more on top of the dough, and knead it just enough that the dough comes together. You don't want to overwork it, but you want it to come together into a nice dough that you can roll out to cut your biscuits. So you want to leave this a little bit thicker. I left it at about 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to start cutting out my biscuits. Use whatever you've got to cut your biscuits. If you've got a biscuit cutter, great. I'm just using part of a measuring cup. Sometimes I use a jar, sometimes I use a glass, just whatever. And for this recipe, I have my baking sheet just sprayed with some non-stick spray. I'm going to get all of my biscuits cut out, and you'll see once I cut as many as I can, I kind of rework the dough, cut out another one, and at the end I just form a biscuit out of what's left. Here's the biscuits before they went in the oven. You can see I've kind of put them touching each other. That helps them rise. And I baked them at 425 for about 15 minutes. While they were cooking, I cooked up some country ham and cut up some tomato. Yeah, I've got flour and everything else all over me. That's just part of making biscuits. Y'all, I'm so ready for some nice, fresh, homegrown tomatoes. I shouldn't be so harsh on these store-bought tomatoes. I know it's not quite the time of year for them yet, but man, they're really letting me down, and I'm ready for some fresh, homegrown tomatoes. Here's another question for you. Do you peel your tomatoes? I don't mind the outside being on my tomato, but Justin likes his peeled. You can see what I did on this night. I just cut it up. And there's the biscuits right out of the oven. Y'all, look how fluffy and light and soft these biscuits are. I'm impressed with them. Thank you for watching this week's What's for Dinner video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. It really does help us out. And if you like these kind of videos and you're not already part of our crew around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button before you leave. Love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.